the sooner you can be yourself, the better. And I know that's because people have told me that, well, just be yourself. But it's so hard to like get to know yourself, right? Like a lot
Yeah.
of us don't even really know who we are. So the
Yeah.
more work we do on ourselves, like spend the time and really think about like who am I? And then just really dig into that creatively. And the truer to who you are, the more people you'll attract who are just like you.
Mm.
And you'll be able to create that tribe, that group of people who you could form a community with.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Anisa Tova. And today I really have a very special guest for you. Joining us is incredibly talented Lauren Lanzaretta. She is she's so many things: a singer, songwriter, musician, mental health advocate. And her new song, "The Way I Am," which is released during Pride Month, it's making waves with this powerful message of self-love and acceptance. I love it. Her soulful sound and really dynamic performances have captured hearts of many, including me. And today we're ready to dive in and really get to know who she is outside of her fame and title. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Hi, Denisa. Thanks so much for having me. And you're literally making me tear up with all those nice things you're saying about me. So I really appreciate it. It's so nice of you, truly.
Like sometimes you when you meet someone, and we've obviously never met in person, but you sense their energy, and there's a powerful yet kind energy about them. And that was just like I felt that instantly, and also through your music.
Yes.
I mean, I get goosebumps. So my one of my favorite questions is it's your story. I mean, you've had this incredible journey into the music industry. Tell me your
Right.
story. What inspired you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing music my whole life. The first time I wrote a song was in seventh grade. I sat down at a family piano and wrote this big gospel song. And my parents were like, where did this voice come from? I have a soulful voice. So it was always just from there, as a teenager and, um, expressing myself. And when I was growing up, being in the closet, I used songwriting to really, as an outlet to express myself. So ever since then, I've been, writing songs. I play a guitar and piano, and I've released several albums since the age of 30 and just been doing it ever since. I love it. And more recently, I came out of the closet when I was 25. So, or not 25, 35. So later in life, I came out, which was a long journey for me. But now I'm writing songs more about uh, my truth. I'm using, I'm talking about a girl in my songs. I'm writing about being gay and coming out and all that goes along with it. So in this new album I'm working on, it's called Soul Ties. That's a lot of the subject matter. So it's been a long time coming, but and a long journey, but I'm really happy with where I am now. And I truly have never been happier and more excited about what I'm doing. So
That is packed with so much. Um,
yes.
it's almost like so it was like, I've been writing songs since the seventh grade, and then this leap forward, and here I am. I came out of a closet at age 35. I would
Yes.
love whatever you're comfortable sharing. Tell me about, some of the challenges that when you look back that you had to overcome, and how you rose through it, because you obviously have.
Yes. Oh gosh. Well, for a lot of people in the LGBTQ community, it is very hard, coming out stories, and there's a wide range of different stories. Some are great, some are not so great. And mine was, I grew up in a very evangelical Christian household. My parents are very loving, kind people. But I mean, I was just always taught, we went to church, that being gay was wrong, right? So as I grew up, and I remember in the ninth grade, started feeling different, that I was attracted to girls. And so all these feelings of shame and like not understanding, like, well, how could I be this way if this isn't God's will for my life? And going to church and hearing messages about how, gay people aren't welcome. And if you struggle with that, you shouldn't be here. And, just thing after thing. And I always loved worship music.
Mhm.
And it was always a struggle for me because I never felt welcome to lead worship in church. And recently, I mean, just a few years ago, I was told, well, we can't have someone who is gay leading worship in this church. And so it's always just been a struggle for me to be understood. And I think for our community, we're all kind of like lumped together in this pool of like, well, this is how these people are. And really, we all have unique stories. Some were raised Christian, some were raised Catholic, some were, raised Muslim and or have no religion and still struggle with, community acceptance and family acceptance for different reasons. So, I just it's been a long journey of trying to love myself, because when you're taught that you're rejected by God or whatever, it's like, well, is that true? And, because I know that God loves me. I know that I have a purpose. And I know that He has placed inside of me so much heart and spirit and love for people. So it just wasn't connecting those messages. So I've been able to form my own relationship with God and, you know, be a gay Christian and show, like, break stereotypes in so many different ways, for people in the gay community, and try to be like a positive representation of this community, and also a voice for gay people, but also specifically gay Christians who struggle with self love and how to think about, like, well, how do I live my life? So, yeah, it's been a long journey, but I think
Wow.
I'm here and I'm ready to sort of like almost take on this like role in my life now. So,
Yes, you are. That is so much courage. Um, that is cruel. It is cruel.
mm,
To think that, as a young human being, and questioning whether you are good enough. Oh, it
right.
makes me so angry and sad at the same time. So I
Yeah,
feel my
yeah,
feelings throughout these podcasts. That's why I started it. And
yeah.
not and I actually mentioned to you that, at the time when we're doing this, it's been 3 years since my son passed away. And,
Oh my,
yeah, thank you. He would have been 31, full of life, young African American, beautiful man. He served the Navy and then struggled with PTSD afterwards and began to self-medicate. And it just went down, the wrong path. And getting in and out of programs, and was Christian,
yeah,
was and just sort of, I think he preferred simple. And I
mhm,
think, you also, you're an advocate for mental health, and to
right,
express, um, feelings, and to ask for help. And so
right,
I'm so glad that you're a
right.
voice for that.
Absolutely. And I am so sorry that you lost your
Thank you.
son. I mean, I think people need um, role models to go before them and say, like, listen, everything's going to be okay. Like,
Yeah.
we will all, every day of our lives, we all struggle with different things. We all are in different places, but there is always hope for the future. And I want to give that message to people in my community specifically and outside of my community, that, at my shows, I talk about it all the time. No matter what we go through, there's always hope and there's
Yeah.
always an answer, and nothing's too big for God. There's nothing too big that he can't figure out or help us with. And my whole life, I always thought everything was so black and white. It's like you're either this or you're that. It's either right or it's wrong. And, there are so many gray areas in life that it's not going to always be perfect. We're
Yeah.
not always going to have the answers, right? But it could all be worked out and everything's going to be okay. And so I love that message that, just hang in there. And I'm trying to keep people alive. I'm trying to keep people hopeful and give them that message of hope. So
Yeah.
for sure.
And
Yeah.
you're doing it. I really have goosebumps because you know what? It's also the feeling that you're not alone, because it can
Yeah.
feel isolating, questioning, who am I? Am I good enough? Where do I belong? Comparing yourself. And the message is
Exactly.
simple. We are good enough.
Yeah.
Exactly the way we are. And, the disconnect, I believe, is that we carry around preferences and accumulated experiences through life and we attach to it, but they don't define us. It's like right now, as we all are, we are perfect as we are. So I am so grateful. Um, so tell me about now, you're also an advocate for creative freedom. What is an example of a maybe project that embodies this principle?
Um, like for me specifically, one of my projects
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah. Well, like I said earlier, I'm working on a new album and it's called Soul Ties. I've released two songs from that album so far. Do You Remember? And then The Way I Am. And this project truly is my most vulnerable and honest project. And I just really wanted to dive into like the truth about who I am fully. So I'm using, the word she in songs. I'm talking about my, very up with my ex and a, who is a beautiful, beautiful person. But it was just a toxic relationship. So I'm diving into subject matter that is honest and that people can relate to more. Whereas I think in the past with my albums, I was talking about, stereotypical heterosexual, like, I was talking about men and my love interest being a man in the songs. And I just thought that that's what you do. You can't really be
Mm.
honest about who you are in today's society. So I just did what I thought was expected of me. And so to have that creative freedom now to really just express myself honestly, it has been so amazing because I'm attracting people who have who are like me, who are like really like, wow, this is someone I can relate to. This is someone I really can invest in and get advice from and trust. So it has just been so amazing being honest because once you're honest, you really do attract people who can appreciate. So this project
That
specifically is about like the space between like, when you're in a relationship with someone and you're their lover and best friend and then going from that to being strangers. So that weird feeling of that sort of progression. But so yeah, it's definitely so relatable and people are, I mean, so far liking it. So it's been great.
good for you for making the decision to be authentic and sort of going deep as opposed to wide and continuing to do the commercial stuff like what sells. Because
Right.
if how can you truly connect? I don't
Right.
connect with people who want to stay on a surface. I do. I mean, but not a
Yeah.
deeper level, certainly. And vulnerability,
Correct.
it's so needed. Um, so if you have an up and coming artist, what advice would you
Mm,
give them? That you wish someone gave you?
right. The sooner you can be yourself, the better. And I know that's because people have told me that, well, just be yourself. But it's so hard to like get to know yourself, right? Like a lot
Yeah.
of us don't even really know who we are. So the
Yeah.
more work we do on ourselves, like spend the time and really think about like who am I? What are my core beliefs? Who do I want to be? What are my goals? Like who do I want to attract? What do I see myself doing? And then just really dig into that creatively. And the truer to who you are, the more people you'll attract who are just like you,
Mm,
and you'll be able to create that tribe, that group of people who you could form a community with. And it goes deeper than the music, because really you can create so many great songs, but until people connect with you as an artist, they're not going to buy into your brand and who you are and your music.
mm,
But when they like you and they see your video telling your story, or if they're able to relate to you or connect to you, or they've been through what you have gone through, they'll be
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like, let me check her music out. Um,
Mm.
I really want to connect with her and be part of her community. So that would be my biggest advice. Just be authentic, be real, create community around who you are and relating to people.
Mm. Yeah, it's working through that fear, right? It's like, oh my goodness,
Right.
I am going to be seen, and who will care?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you're bearing it
Right.
all, but you're right, the sooner you do it, um, the better. And it's at the same time, it's
Yes.
never too late. You're right. If we all can just take a little piece of that and say, just shed some of it and be seen. Yeah, that is such a great advice. So, I'm curious, sort of
Yeah.
stepping outside of work, and it's huge, not work. It's not even work. It's your creation. What are you
Mm.
into when you're not working on music?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, recently, my girlfriend and I, we have been dating for like a year and a half. So we are having the time of our lives. She's my best friend, Taylor. And she's really into her career. She's a news anchor. So we love supporting and helping one another on our social media platforms. We like doing funny videos, enjoy working out, and we've been traveling a lot. So, really just having fun with her. And then I have so many creative friends that I'm able to connect with who also are artists, who we love having deep conversations. And I just have such a great music community as well in Cleveland, Ohio, that are very supportive. And, whether it be songwriting retreats or shows, we're always supporting each
Mm.
other, and just getting deep, with songwriting. And so, yeah, I mean, just enjoying life.
Yes, yes, living it every single day. Um, are you guys
Exactly.
binging on any shows?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
Honestly, we haven't had much time to watch TV. Every time we go to lay down and watch TV, we fall asleep because we've just been doing so much.
That's me too.
I just can't stay up to watch anything. I'm always so tired. Um, but we did just we were in Columbus. My girlfriend Taylor lives in Columbus, and we did just celebrate Pride this past weekend and walked in the parade. So that was a blast. It was amazing to see how many people. I mean, I'm telling you, like over 500,000 people came out,
Wow,
if not
so
more.
cool.
So it was an amazing weekend.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's it. Just again,
Yeah.
it just fills me up. That this is you are really blazing the trail, making a difference, and I am just I am thrilled to share your story. Um, it just dawned on me, like, what is a question
Mhm.
that that you wish that you were asked, but no one's really asking?
Hmm. I think that's a good one. That is a really good question. I think, a lot of the things that come up that, Taylor and I have been talking about is the amount of, maybe it's not a question, but like a subject, like posting online and stuff. We get sometimes hate messages or like
Mm,
people who don't understand the LGBTQ community.
yeah.
And so I wish people in general would just ask more about what you really believe and who you really
Mm,
are instead of like assuming that you are this type of person or believe this type of stuff. Because, like I said, we're all different. And just because we post with a rainbow flag doesn't mean that we're these bad people who, there's so many
yeah.
generalizations. So I would love for people to just have conversations with us and ask us questions about who we really are and what we really believe. Because most of the time it's, just getting to know people is having compassion on their story. And that's why I want people to tell their story, use my song and tell their story, because the more people hear our stories, the more that they can have compassion and understand that we're just people, who grew up a certain way, who have a story behind it, and just like more understanding.
This
So,
is actually great because in my mind, as I'm taking in what you're saying, I'm going, okay. So when you remove the exterior and the physical aspect of us, and you just leave the
right.
essence and you just separate the thoughts, that's all there is. And because the
Hmm.
thoughts and all that, as we just said, those are preferences that you were accumulated from your childhood, and it's all driven by your parents meeting, being born to a certain set of grandparents and circumstances, and somebody
Right.
generations back, if they made a different decision, they would have ended up thinking like you are. So it just really, to me, it's so, what
Yes.
you said is so profound, that on the very core, we're really not all that different, but people's mind, I call it the lazy thinking. You really don't want to get to know me because you dismiss me because you are uncomfortable with understanding something that doesn't
Yeah.
come easily to you, and it's easier that way to follow the masses. So that
Right.
is so true. One of my favorite questions, and it's coming at you, it's it's how do you who are you outside of work? Like, how would you define yourself at your core? If you couldn't define
Sure.
yourself by
Um,
what you do.
sure. I'm someone who has a lot of heart. I care about people deeply. I'm always looking for, you know, people I can help, and I try to be as compassionate and kind as I possibly can. I was raised by two very loving, kind parents, and who were very hard workers, very humble. My dad was a firefighter, my mom a housewife, and we were taught to always be honest, to always care, and to always put others before ourselves.
Mm.
So I'm not perfect by any means. I have so much to work on, and I know that through my experiences in life, I've been able to change and grow so much. But I am now at the place where I just want to like help people as much as I can, um, create spaces for people to feel safe and feel loved and not judge people, and just be a mirror out into the world of what I would like to see back to me, which is love and compassion and understanding.
Wow. Beautifully said.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying, but it's always
Yeah.
hard. We all struggle with different things, and um, life is the best teacher. So, life
Yeah.
experience.
We're a work in progress. And
Yes.
my final question I have to ask, how would Taylor describe you?
Um, well, she's right here if you want to ask her. No,
Ah.
she, she sees my light. She sees my potential, and I have never felt so supported and loved before. We speak the same love languages. So, I she said, I'm generous and the most thoughtful person she's ever met.
Oh,
So there you go.
wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yes.
And I know you didn't coach her to say that because you didn't have a chance to get to
No,
prep for this. So
right,
this
right.
is real. This is great.
Yes.
Lauren, we'll have you back. Definitely. And Taylor
Yes.
also. She'll have to jump in. Thank you so
Sorry
much
about
for
that.
sharing your story, really, and your journey, your belief system, who you are on the inside. I truly believe that you are helping to heal this world. I really do.
Thank you so much for having me. And I feel the same way about you. You bring stories and platform to like help people like me get a message out is so, so important because not a lot of people can do it. They don't have the resources, they don't have the energy, they don't have the commitment, and are using what you have to better, all of us and put positive message out in the world. So I just want to honor you and thank you for what you do. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. That's really beautifully said, and I enjoy every second of it, and I am not stopping. So thank you. And to our viewers and listeners, to learn more about Lauren Lanzaretta and her music, make sure you check out the links below. And don't forget, of course, to hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. Follow us on all social media channels. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.